In this video, I will be demonstrating how to configure two Cisco IP phones using CME routers. We will be configuring routers with dial peer in order for the IP phones to connect to each other and make it operational. First thing we're going to do is install Dynagen Dynamips on our Linux VM. And as you can see, I had it installed already, and this will allow us to imitate the Cisco router inside the virtual machine. Now we're going to create a directory named router. We will copy the router image in this directory, which is in our downloads folder. Go back to my router directory. Next is we will need a Dynagen configuration file for our routers. I have the configuration ready right here, so I'm just gonna copy paste it. So right here, this is the directory of where the configuration is gonna be, and the image file we're using for the routers, the console we're gonna be telnetting later, and the interfaces we're creating to connect the two routers together. Now we're gonna run Dynamips on the background, and then we can run the configuration file we created. Okay, Dynagen, config. Okay, it's working. So from here, we're gonna start R1, start R2, and now we're gonna open a new terminal. So we're gonna telnet to our R1 first. And just go no here. Open another one for our R2. Nope. Okay. So next is we're gonna create the tap 1 and tap 2 that we're gonna be assigning on the router's interface later on. So we go open a new terminal. And up. To test this, we're gonna have to ping from our Windows VM, which has an IP of 56.10, so it's this. And we're gonna ping to our first router. But first we're gonna have to set up the IP address on the interface. Let's add the host name as well. 192.168.56.3 and a /24. No shut. Alright, so we're gonna try to ping the router 1's interface. .3. Yep, as you can see now it can connect to the R1. And we're gonna do the same for R2. Hostname router 2 conf first. Let's add the IP address on interface FA00 to 168.56.4 and a /24 as well. No shut. Then we can confirm this by pinging from our Windows CIPC2 192.168.56.4. It's not gonna work because we have to do the same thing for R2's tap2 interface. So we go back here, tap2 is up. Now we're gonna try again. Alright, now it's working. Now we're gonna configure the routers with the IP phones. So let's start with setting up the clock. Let's do R1 first. November 27th, 2023. Then we're gonna go to telephony service, set the max ePhones to 20. IP source address is the IP address of the interface, which is 192.168.56.3 port 2000. Our max DN is, let's say, 25. And let's add a system message as well. To James Boyd 1. And create CNF files. As you can see, the phone already has the system message we configured. It has the IP address of the router. And now let's do the same for R2. So we set the clock first. November. Then we go to config terminal, telephony service. Let's wait for this logs. Okay. Set the max ePhones to 20. IP source address is the IP address of router 2 itself. So it's 192.168.56.4, port 2000. Max DN 225. System message. Void 2. Okay. Let's check the TFTP server for this, which is 4. That's correct. This should load eventually. While waiting for this one, let's configure the number for R1. So we go ePhone DN1. The number is gonna be 7853 for our first IP phone. So number 7853. Let's add a name as well to James. Phone 1. And now we're gonna register this IP phone to the router. So ePhone 1, MAC address, and the MAC address of this can be found right here or from the settings as well. But we're gonna use this. Just separate. Now we're gonna assign the button 1, which is the first one, to our ePhone 1 number. Then restart. And the number should show up on the button 1 as well. Yep. Now for R2, we're gonna set up the IP phone to the router 2. Go ePhone 1. The MAC address is here. And restart. Oh, we're gonna have to add the number first before restarting it. DN1, so number is gonna be 7953. Let's add the name. Phone 2. Phone 1, restart. Let's add the button as well for this. Alright, now it's showing. Alright, so we configured the IP phones already, but these two phones won't be able to connect to each other because we're gonna need a dial peer. So let's show that it won't be able to call the other number. 53. Yep. So let's do a dial peer. So you go dial peer voice. On R1, we're gonna assign the number of R2's IP phone. VoIP destination pattern is the number as well. This can be a range as well. So if there are multiple numbers with 7,000 range, you have to assign a question mark here or a dot. But for this demonstration, I'll just use the same number. Session target is the IPv4 address of router 2. And end. And let's confirm it's gonna show on our summary. Yep, it's right here. Now do the same for R2. Dial P voice 7853 VoIP destination pattern 53 session target is the IP address of the router 1. And confirm voice sum. Alright, 7853 is set up on IP phone 2. 7953 is set up on IP phone 1. Okay. And now let's test if the phones are working. So from IP phone 1, I'm gonna call IP phone 2 with this number, 7953. Yep. Do the same for the other, 7853. Alright, so the IP phones work now.